In this film, Peyami Safa is at your age. Do you want to be friends with him? Hello friends, I am Peyami Safa. I'm a writer and thinker who has left great traces in Turkish literature and the world of Turkish thought. Would you like to hear my life story from me? I was born on April the 2nd, 1899 in Gedikpaşa, one of the old districts of Istanbul. Located within the borders of Fatih district and famous for its historical mosques, churches, schools, baths and wooden houses. My mother's name is Server Bedia, my father's name is Ismail Safa. My father was a famous poet who was among the writers of Servet-i Fünun. Servet-i Fünun was an art and literature magazine that was published between 1891 and 1944 and brought together very valuable poets and writers of Turkish literature such as Halit Ziya Uşaklıgil, Cenab Şahabettin, Hüseyin Rahmi Gürpınar. The leader of this literary group was the great poet Tevfik Fikret. Tevfik Fikret was also a close friend of my father. It is said that Tevfik Fikret gave my name after I was born. When I was 8 or 9 years old, I got a bone disease. I couldn't move my joints easily. I had difficulty in maintaining my daily life. I went to doctors about this disease until I was 17 years old, and I was treated in hospitals. It was a long, difficult and tiring treatment process, and it affected my life deeply. So much so that when I turned 30, based on my experiences and observations during this treatment process, I wrote my novel, 9. Hariciye Koğuşu, which is one of the best and most famous novels of Turkish literature. This novel, which deals with the experience of a 15-year-old boy struggling with a knee problem and the difficulties he encounters in his social life, has also been adapted for the cinema several times. In addition to my illness, due to economic difficulties, I had to work from an early age and contribute to the family income. Unfortunately, this situation negatively affected my education life. My school life was interrupted. I had to educate and train myself all my life to close this gap. I was constantly very fond of writing. I was trying to write stories with great enthusiasm, but at the same time I had to work. After working in printing houses for a while, I entered the Ministry of Post and the Telegraph. Then I worked as a teacher for 4 years in a school called Guide-i İttihad. I quit teaching at the suggestion of my brother Ilhami Safa. We started to publish a newspaper called 20th Century. I also started to write stories for this newspaper. I used to see myself as a journalist and writer now. I continued my journalism activities until the end of my life. I wrote articles, anecdotes, stories and novels. What I wrote began to be noticed and appreciated by the literary circles, including important names of Turkish literature such as Yakup Kadri Karaosmanoğlu, Ömer Seyfettin and Yahya Kemal. Sometimes I wrote works under pseudonyms, for example with the nickname Server Bedi. I wrote a detective series called Cingöz Recai, and these works became quite famous among the people. In addition to literature, I was also interested in the social problems and current issues of the period I lived in. I have written numerous articles and reviews reflecting my thoughts on these topics. Some of these articles were on a particular topic. I had discussions with many writers such as Nazım Hikmet, Necip Fazıl Kısakürek, Ahmet Hashim. I also reflected my feelings and thoughts on social issues in my novels and stories. In this respect, my works have a very realistic future. I love to try to understand the inner world of the characters in my novels and the stories and to reveal their relations with society. My novel named Fatih Harbiye is also a novel with these characteristics. which is among the 100 basic works of the Ministry of National Education. It is said that I'm one of the most prolific writers of Turkish literature. I have about 500 works. In addition to 9. Hariciye Koğuşu, Fatih Harbiye, Bir Tereddüdün Romanı, Yalnızız, Biz İnsanlar, Mademoiselle Noralia'nın Koltuğu are just some of few works of mine that I loved. I have always faced difficulties throughout my life due to health problems and economic difficulties. However, I never gave up on struggling with these difficulties and writing, which is my biggest dream. Children, continue to struggle and work without despair in the face of life's difficulties. Know that behind making dreams come true, there is work with passion, determination, and non-stop.